There is so much talk online about decentering men, and I want to say, babe, you're probably doing it wrong. So, my name is Keisha Rice. I am a dating coach, hypnotherapist. I help women heal from their unhealthy relationship patterns and finally attract lasting, loving, cherished relationships. And when it comes to this idea of decentering men, there are a lot of so-called femininity coaches, a lot of just content creators in general, who every time I hear them say decenter men, it is followed by some type of video talking about how men are trash. You shouldn't date men. You don't need men in your life. Here's the thing. One of the main reasons why I became a dating coach is because I believe that we grow through relationships. Healing our unhealthy relationship patterns is the key to breaking generational curses, and allowing us to heal ourselves, heal our inner child, heal all of the things that make society sometimes the messed up place that it is. So, this idea of not wanting to be in relationships, one, some people are frankly lying. They've never been able to attract healthy love, so they just given up. And two, like, yes, I agree that as a woman, you don't need a man, but there's nothing wrong with desiring partnership. There's nothing wrong with being in a place where you look at your life and you say, hey, I love my family, I love my friends, and I like healthy romantic love as well. So when we talk about this idea of decentering men, what we're really trying to do is not be male identified, not be a pick me, quote unquote pick me, and not, not allowing a man to control our lives and decide what's best for us because we don't want anyone else doing that for us other than ourselves, right? So, this whole idea of decentering men means making yourself the center of your life. And every other relationship should flow from that. You start with your self love, and then anyone who is actively in your life. So, yes, that includes family members, that includes friends, that includes anyone involved in your career. So, coworkers, if you have a job, if you own a business, your clients, any of that. And yes, your romantic partners, they all have to add to your life. When I got really intentional about wanting to date for long-term love, so not just dating to meet people and to have fun, but dating because I wanted to get married, I made a list of the things that I wanted in a partner, which is like one of the very first things that I have my clients do now. And when I was writing out that list, one of the things that I said was that I definitely wanted a partner who was going to add to my life, not be my entire life. So I didn't want my future husband to be entirely responsible for all of my social life and social activities. Um, I have friends, right? I have my career. I travel and I travel solo and I love doing that, but I wanted a partner who was going to add to my already great life. So I am going to tell you now the 6 steps that you need to take in order to truly decenter men and to center yourself. So, first is I want you to get clear on what you want from men in general and why. Because too often we end up in unhealthy relationships because we don't put those relationships in their proper place. So, if you've never studied attachment styles, you definitely should. um, there's so many great books out there, so many podcasts, a lot of YouTube videos. I will probably do some videos myself in the near future. But attachment styles are basically the way in which we were raised, the way in which our caregivers, so typically parents, but if you were raised by someone other than your biological parents, whoever your caregivers were, the way they interact with you affects how going forward in your adult relationships, how you end up receiving love, giving love, thinking about love. There's I used to be an avoidant attachment before I became securely attached, but there's so much talk about anxious attachment in which people, because they didn't get a lot of love from their parents or a lot of attention growing up, they end up becoming very clingy and codependent. And I see this, fairly often in some of my clients that when they first start working with me, they want to build a relationship with a man to replicate the relationship that they wish they had had with their parents, particularly their fathers. And what I mean by this is because they didn't get a lot of love and attention from, typically the father, now they go for it because they never healed from that and never accepted the fact that even if you have the best parents, your parents aren't perfect. And, sometimes they do things that end up screwing you up later in life, not because they're necessarily bad people, but because they themselves have harm and trauma that happened to them. But then you go forward into your adulthood and you end up in situations where you are looking for a man to fix that, to give you all the things that you didn't get from the parent. And that's a lot of pressure to put on another person. Like, don't get me wrong, you should totally expect to be loved, to be cherished, to be considered, to have someone who really cares about you, who really does their best by you, who wants you to know that they love you. But that person is never going to be a replacement for whatever unhealthy relationships that you had in the past. You have to heal those before you can truly be in a healthy relationship with other people going forward in your future. So you need to, first of all, when we talk about getting clear on what it is that you want from a man romantically, is you need to make sure that these things that you're asking for are coming from a place of what will make you happy now going forward in your adult relationships, not expecting someone else to mend wounds, to heal wounds that they didn't cause to begin with. Now, that brings us to, the second point, which is just in general in your life. What is it that you want out of life? What are your life goals? So, you want to look at all the areas of your life. So, yes, romance and your first step will help you with that. What is that you want in a romantic relationship, but also in your health, in your career, in your finances. What are the goals that you have for your life? And to be as specific about those things as you possibly can be. Then, once you do that, you want to prioritize those goals. Now, know that all three of these things, so the things that you want from a man, your life goals, and what the priority for these goals are, can and will change over time. In different seasons of your life, you'll want something in one season and then later on another season decide that this thing is not as important to you. Um, like maybe it's not important at all and it's no longer a goal anymore. But at the same time, certain things will have more priority in different seasons. You know, one of the most obvious examples would be if a woman wants to have children. Motherhood, biologically, there are times in our life where we're better equipped to be mothers than other times. So at certain ages, you might place having a child as a higher priority than you would in other phases of your life. But even just in general, when we're talking about the different areas of your life, when we're talking about career, finances, health, your social life, your romantic life, which can be, of course, a part of your social life, but can also, you consider that separately. Um, Certain things may be more important at certain times. A lot of women prioritize their career in their 20s because you're young and you're building. And if you do it right, then by the time you hit your 30s or 40s or beyond, you can kind of post because you've done so much work in your 20s to set that foundation. So you want to get clear with at this point in time, this moment in time, how do you prioritize these different goals that you have? Now, after you want to do that, you want to work on becoming that girl, becoming her. So for every woman, there's going to be a different idea of what that girl looks like. But you know it. If you were to just take some time to close your eyes and imagine what your perfect life would look like, do that. What would that life entail? How would you look? How would you show up? How would other people perceive you? How would you dress? What would people's opinions of you be if someone was having a conversation about you and they didn't know that you could hear the conversation? What are the things that you would want them to say about you? Now that you know those things, and I would encourage you to journal this out and write it out. So now that you know these things, what do you need to do in order to become that woman? What are the changes in your life that you need to make? Do you want to make some changes to your appearance, your hairstyle, the way you dress, how you wear your makeup? Do you want to gain weight or lose weight? Do you want to tone up or embrace a curvier self? Intellectually, do you want to read more? Do you want to change the types of books that you read? What about just in general, the media that's feeding you? Because that affects your mindset, the TV shows you watch, the movies you watch, the music you listen to. Do you want to change those to fit with a certain type of lifestyle? So, what are the things that you need to do to become that girl, to become her? Now, once you've done that, figure out how a man fits into those things. So, if you are really serious about your career, then you want a man who's going to be supportive of your ambitions, of your goals, who is going to be a cheerleader for you, right? If you are really serious about staying home, becoming a mother, um, being a housewife, then you want a man who is going to provide and take care of you and who believes in more traditional gender roles so that he can be supportive of that. Whatever your goals are personal and they're up to you. But if you are really intentional about being in a serious committed relationship, you need to be clear about how you expect a man to fit into all of those goals in all of the areas of your life. So once you have started doing these things, then it becomes so much easier to go out and find men and to date because now that you have these standards in place, then you know what boundaries you need to set. You know, in your discernment, what types of things you should be looking out for. If you want someone um, who's going to be very supportive of the fact that you want a big career, you want to be well known, you want to be at the top of your field, the top of your industry, then you want to find out what he thinks about women working in general, how he feels about female bosses, whether or not he's a feminist. So those are the types of things that you're going to be asking about as you're getting to know him and as you're dating him. So you really want to use these questions to hone your discernment. And again, to write these things down, what it is that you want in a man and how he fits in with your goals and how he aligns with them. So that as you're going on dates, you can come back home and you can look at your list of things that you've written out and you can say, okay, based on what I know about this man so far, is he fitting in with my ideals? And if not, then you know that you can move on and not waste your time and not waste his time. No hard feelings, but it just means that you aren't aligned, right? So that brings us to the sixth and final step. One of the things that I'm always telling my clients is that I never in a million years want them to play hard to get. Instead, I would like you to be hard to get. The difference is instead of playing games, instead of going on and on about all these options you have and playing stupid games to make a man feel jealous and all of that, I want you to genuinely be busy, right? I want you to have a life so that when a man asks you out at the last minute, you say no, not because you feel like you need to play some type of game, but because you already have plans. Even if those plans are your self-care Sunday where you take bubble baths and get a facial, you're not dropping those things for a man because they're important to you and to your self-care. And you have the confidence in knowing that if he likes you, he'll work around your schedule. He'll be okay, right? So instead of, again, playing hard to get, you want to genuinely be hard to get. You want to have high standards that you uphold. So because you have these high standards, you don't just let anybody come in and take you out. Like it is a privilege to have access to you and you act accordingly. Again, these are the 6 steps that you need to take in order to properly decenter men and give men in romantic relationships in general their proper place in your life. Because again, there's nothing wrong with desiring a man. There's nothing wrong with desiring a partner and wanting to get married, wanting to have a long-term relationship. But that desire needs to fit in with all the other goals that you have in your life. It needs to be part of an already fulfilling, content life, not just the end all be all. So, if you would like to work with me for one-on-one coaching, or if you would like to, take advantage of one of my journals, I have two. One is on stopping self-sabotage, the other one is on healing after a breakup. Then see the link below in the description. And the coaching link is for Voxer Coaching, which is like a walkie-talkie app. But if you were interested in one-on-one video chat coaching, just message me and we can talk about how that works. And in the meantime, again, start on making those lists. Get clear on what it really is that you want in a relationship. YouTube thinks that if you enjoyed this video, there is another video of mine that you will like just as much, if not more. It is going to be, I think, over here. So yeah, check that out. And I love you. I will talk to you soon.